Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's program, we have some fantastic news around this team. But first, before we get into all that news, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're keeping us locked in for all your Texans news and rumors all year long. We have a watch party on Sunday. Be there. Sunday Night Football. I'll be live here on the channel breaking down everything you need to know around the Texans, Lions, doing some play-by-play. We have some giveaways, a lot of fun. So don't miss out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep us locked in. And obviously, you might have heard already, the greatest news for any Texans fan today, he's back. Nico Collins back at practice today. The Texans wide receiver one is a very, very good sign for this team that he is back. I mean, things were looking bad. Stephon Diggs out for the season. The Texans offensive line in shambles. Bobby Slowick, people are already calling for his job halfway through the season. This was needed for this Texans team, and he looks good. I saw him, jumping around, dancing at practice. He looks like he's ready to go. Aaron Wilson was reporting he was getting up to speeds of 21 miles per hour this week in his recovery. So great news for the Houston Texans. And reminder, whenever he was injured, whenever he left to go on IR, he's leading the league in receiving yards. He still leads the league in receiving yards per game, and even missing 4 games, he's top 15 in yards and top 15 in first down receptions. So Nico Collins obviously has a lot to prove of, he might have been the best receiver in the NFL whenever he got injured and had to go on IR 4 weeks ago. So great news for the Texans, great news for this offense, great news for CJ Stroud and Bobby Slowick as well. I know a ton of Texans players, personnel, people inside that building watch today's video. And for the happenstance that Nico Collins is able to watch this video or he comes by it, I want him to see nothing but 12s in the comment section. So if you're pumped Nico's back, if you're ready to see him catching balls on Sunday, go down and spam the 12s in the comment section. I'm pumped to see Nico back. I know everybody else is really excited. I know fantasy owners are excited to see Nico Collins back. But Texans fans, this is a great sign for this team. Great sign for this offense. I'm so pumped to see him back. Go down and spam those 12s. Now, let's look at some other injury news around the team. Jarrett Patterson back at practice after being in concussion protocol. Last week missed the Thursday Night Football game up against the Jets. He looks like he'll be good to go, and the question is, will he be the starting left guard come Sunday? He's looked good. He's looked, in his one drive that he played at left guard up against the Colts, the Texans scored a touchdown. Could he be the option there at left guard for this team? The team just placed Kenyon Green on IR, meaning he'll miss the next 4 weeks. I doubt that he plays the rest of the season for the Texans. I mean, he was awful whenever he got injured, was on the precipice of getting benched. I mean, he did get benched for Jarrett Patterson up against the Colts. I doubt we see any more of Kenyon Green. Kendrick Green played against the Jets whenever Kenyon went down. I'll be honest, did not look that great. Did not look that great, in my opinion, up against the Jets. The Texans also made some moves. They signed a couple guys on the practice squad. They claimed Zach Thomas off of waivers, another offensive lineman. Don't know. Think those are more depth, more of, we've had some injuries. We want to make sure we have some guys waiting in the wings, but I don't see that as any option for the Texans in terms of starting in the near future. I've seen a lot of people ask in the comment section about Titus Howard moving to guard and maybe starting Blake Fisher at right tackle. I don't think that's a possibility, or I don't think that's really where the Texans want to go, because Titus Howard, didn't play that great at guard whenever he was thrust in that position for the Houston Texans. And also, I don't know. I feel like they'd rather put Jarrett Patterson in there at guard than Titus Howard, moving him around and starting the rookie Blake Fisher at right tackle. Now, Fisher's gotten some work. He's, had a couple starts, played a little bit for this Texans team. I'm not worried about Blake Fisher at right tackle, but is that the best 5 that you have out there with Titus Howard at guard? Not really sure. One more good note from practice before we get into maybe the not so good news around the Houston Texans in terms of the injury front, but I wanted to give a shout out to Joe Mixon. Just earned a captain's patch. He's going to be one of the new captains for the Houston Texans, and I mean, he earned it. I mean, every game that he's played in, over 100, or every game that he's played in throughout the entire game, over 100 yards on, through the ground and on the air in each of those games. He has looked fantastic. Even though the Texans offense has kind of sputtered throughout the year, the run game and, Joe Mixon in the run game, he has been a sight for sore eyes, because, I mean, he has literally been the only thing at many times that this Texans offense has done right. They haven't really been able to run block that well, but Joe Mixon has been able to get out of it time and time again. He has looked good catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, he has been awesome for this team. So shout out to Joe Mixon, new captain for the team, and he has 100% earned it. We have some more injury news to get to in just a moment, but got to tell you about the amazing sponsor of today's program, and that is PrizePicks. Get started today with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there with over 5 million active members. Get in on the daily action, and this is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and you can win up to 100 times your money right now. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. And I'm looking tonight. Rockets play the Thunder. Rockets have been looking good. Really good young team. They have Alperen Şengün, 17.5 points. I'm going the more on that. Alperen Şengün has been putting in work at the center position. Just got that contract extension before the year. I know we're Texans channel talking NFL, but I'm also a Rockets fan, so I'm looking at some of those stat projections they have. Fred VanVleet has been looking really good. They have points, rebounds, and assists, 23.5. Going the more on that. And another one that I liked a ton was Jalen Green. 2.5 3-pointers. He has been pretty nice from the 3-point line this year. 2.5 threes. I think he can make 3 threes. You can use my picks. You can fade my picks. Just do it over on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus that's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Yeah, my dog Sadie, she loves PrizePicks. She's looking at me right now. She's saying, "Dad, get your PrizePicks lineup in." I will say. So let's get into some other injury news around the team. Will Anderson Jr. out for another practice, dealing with that ankle injury. Obviously, he got injured on the MetLife turf, left the game, then came back into the game for a short stint, and then left the game again. I'm kind of doubtful that he'll play on Sunday. I think they're going to play it safe with him. Obviously, maybe they want to just be extra cautious with Will Anderson because he has been fantastic for the Texans this season. But missing practice all week after injuring that ankle up against the Jets, I don't know how to feel about Will Anderson Jr. on Sunday. I don't know if he'll even be an option for this team. Missed practice has been out every single day this week. That's a little concerning to me. But maybe a little bit more worrying for me along the defensive line is Foley Fatukasi, because we look at the Lions, 2 really good running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, which I don't know how that just happened. They have 2 good running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Foley Fatukasi hasn't practiced at all this week, dealing with, on the injury report, a shoulder and groin injury. He has been amazing for this Texans team on the interior in his run defense and his pass rush up the middle. Maybe one of the best signings of the Texans this offseason was Foley Fatukasi on the interior. If he's not able to go, I mean, you have DeMeco Ryans, but Mario Edwards Jr. is still serving a suspension, so you're going to have to really heavily rely on Tim Settle Jr., who he's played well this year, but I think Foley Fatukasi, he's definitely the best defensive tackle in terms of the run defense, in my opinion, on this Texans defense. You have Kurt Heinisch as well. You just traded away Khalil Davis, so you don't have him waiting in the wings. That is a little bit more concerning on the interior for this Texans team. in my opinion, I mean, you have Azeez Al-Shire back, so the run defense in terms of the linebacking unit could get a little bit of a bump up. Him and Henry Toto have played really well. But in terms of the defensive line, I think I'm a little bit more worried about Foley Fatukasi than Will Anderson Jr. for this game and this game alone. Another guy who's not practicing is Dameon Pierce. Dealing with that groin injury, has been on and off with that groin injury, so don't know whether he'll play on Sunday. He's been out all week. I will say, though, and I loved him in the preseason, and I think he's played really well when given the opportunity. I want to see some J.J. Taylor snaps. If Joe Mixon needs a little bit of a break, J.J. Taylor has looked really good in the small amount of touches that he's gotten this year for the Houston Texans. I want to see if J.J. Taylor can give some explosive runs whenever Joe Mixon needs a little bit of a breather during the game. Another guy who's not practicing, Jake Hansen, linebacker, he was limited and then did not practice. So doubt he plays on Sunday either, which just kind of wrapping this show up in a bow. I know I've said it and I sound like a broken record, but this is a massive game for the Texans. This is huge. I know the AFC South does not look strong. The Texans have a clear path to the playoffs if they can just win their division games throughout the rest of this season. But I'm still a little worried about them going up against real competition. And this is real competition. The Lions look to be the best team in the NFC right now. The Lions offense has been fantastic. They just added Zadarius Smith to this defense that's looked pretty good this year. This is going to be a huge test for the Houston Texans on prime time in front of the entire nation. The lights will be the brightest. And one person that I'm looking at on Sunday night, and he's not suiting up, his name is Bobby Slowick. Can he prove the doubters wrong? I've been a Bobby Slowick defender. I've been saying, I think we're being a little too hard on Slowick. The offensive line has been awful. This, that, and the other. I've given him a ton of excuses throughout the year. The offense doesn't look good another week under Bobby Slowick. I will start being concerned for him and this Texans offensive trajectory under Bobby Slowick. I think this is a real big prove-it game for him, for CJ Stroud, and this team. So I'm excited. I'm hopeful. And I'll be there Sunday night. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're there with me for Sunday Night Football. Once again, I'll be live here on the channel. I'll be breaking everything down, so don't miss a beat. Make sure to keep me locked in. Make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, H-Town, hold it down. Let's go. Let's go.